You think about, his history started with Ashland Oil. Then he actually did a stint with M&T Bank back in the 70s and ran a bank in Arcade, New York. And then as time went on, he went into Central Trust Company, which was a bank that M&T bought in 1992. And the acquisition of Central Trust was probably the best one we did. And the reason for that is because Carl built an incredible bank with incredible people, and they were really the business bank of Rochester.
The late 80s and early 90s were really volatile times for the banking industry. The OCC was concerned about the stability and the confidence in the banking system generally, and particularly as it related to community banks like First National Bank. And so they recruited Carl to come over to turn the bank around. And Carl came knocking at my door to see if I would be willing to come over to First National to actually build a trust department. And he warned me that the bank was under a consent order by the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency and that it might not succeed. It might actually fail. What would have typically taken 5 years to achieve, First National Bank successfully turned around in a period of 2 years. So that was his accomplishment.
Carl really knew how to work with small businesses, and he could speak their language. He really appreciated what they did for our community in terms of growing the economy, creating jobs. He also took really good care of himself. So every morning he would be waiting outside Midtown Tennis and Fitness at 5 in the morning waiting for the doors to open. And while he was there, Bob Duffy, who was the mayor at the time, was also someone who works out at Midtown, and came over to Carl and said, "Hey Carl, I'd like you to be head of economic development for the city under my administration." And Carl just kind of smiled and said, "What the hell do I know about government?" And Bob said, "You know a lot and I want you to do it." And Carl said, "Okay, I'll do it, but I've got one caveat. I can't have any meetings before 8 o'clock because I've got to get my workout in."
His personality was such that he impressed on the people in the city a certain approach to city government that was different. And by that I mean it was much more inclined to be like it would be in the private sector, where you had to be going out, reaching out, selling things, dealing with it. And so I think he got the attitude of people to change, to reach out, to deal with things in a more affirmative way.
Carl always put people first, and he would quietly be someone that kind of carried a big stick, but he didn't have that kind of aura about him that he was a big deal. He would talk to anybody, from the person cleaning the office at the end of the day to the leaders of the big businesses of Rochester. Carl could talk and relate to anybody, and all he wanted to do was help and make their lives better.
He became, for the people who worked in the city, an inspiration, but also gave them confidence. The fact that he was willing to do this, someone who had a lot of success otherwise in his life and who didn't need a job, was willing to commit himself to it and stay with it and work on it. I think that gave people the motivation and the freedom to pursue it themselves.
He always wanted to do what's right? He'd always let me have it when he said, "You're not thinking about this right, Dan. This is about the community, or this is about the kids, or what have you." He had his heart was always in the right place, but he used his business acumen to kind of maneuver it in ways that made everybody win.
He was very active in a number of a number of charitable organizations, but I think probably the thing that was nearest and dearest to him, and the thing we talked about all the time, was his commitment to education.
Carl believed that education was the key to unlocking the potential, not just of an individual, but of the entire nation.
I arrived at Canisius in January of 1977. Carl already had 21 years on me as an alumnus. He and his wife, Virginia, set up, endowed a seven-figure scholarship fund a number of years ago to provide scholarship assistance to students from Rochester, Buffalo, Arcade, and Brooklyn, New York. And for many years, Carl and Virginia would make the trip back to Buffalo to meet with those students, to get to know them better, to encourage them to find out what it was they were interested in, and to deliver a little message to them that when they're successful, they too should consider giving back and paying forward.
Whether it's through a scholarship program at MCC, his work as a regent, or his work in the city as mayor, deputy mayor, and economic development, and his work also in the charter school movement, that kind of education is what feeds kids into our workforce and grows Rochester. And as we all know, that we're only successful if the inner city, the Rochester community, the city of Rochester is strong and thriving. And Carl knew that, and that was his main focus.
When you think of the Hall of Fame, you think of superstars. And when I think of Carl in the world of the professional environment, there's no question that his entire career makes him a superstar.